65, but you're still working and you haven't picked up Medicare yet. That seems to be, how many of you are just younger people and you're turning 65 and you're not quite at the, so we have a nice mix of people. So anyway, that is me. And this presentation, just a disclaimer, this is an educational presentation, which means I'm not going to be selling you anything or talking specifically about any particular carriers. This is an educational program to look at Medicare in an overview. If you have specific questions, if you have general questions at the end, we can handle those. If you have questions about your own particular situation, the best way to do that is after this is over, you contact me, and then we can discuss your particular situation. On the table there's a form that you can fill out if you want, because I don't have your information. Unlike the call centers, I will not be calling you. You have to contact me, and so you can fill that out and take a business card as well. So there's me, my pretty face, and what happened here? Oh, there, we'll start with there. There I am. I am also lived in Schaumburg for 36 years. I now live in Hoffman Estates. This almost makes me feel old. I'm a business owner, father, husband, grandfather, great-grandfather. Better check with my wife on that. And Jackie and I live here, and you can see the little Geico person. I signed him up at Medicare at Schaumburg Septemberfest. That was my first client. So that's my license. I have a license. You have to be licensed to do what I do. So that is my state license, just so you know that. So we're going to do just a brief overview. I'm going to assume that you know a little bit about Medicare, not as much, and we all know a little few pieces. So Medicare is a federal insurance program. It's for U.S. citizens, legal residents. It's funded by your taxes. It is individual insurance. It is not a family plan. It's not Social Security. It's not Medicaid. It's not free. Everybody shakes their head. It's not free. No, it's not free. To be eligible for Medicare, you have to be over 65 or under 65 with a qualifying disability. You have to be a U.S. citizen or a legal resident for 5 consecutive years. These are the people that take care of Medicare. When you sign up for Medicare, that goes through Social Security. They sign you up for Medicare. They give you your Social Security benefits, and they take what they want out of your Social Security benefits for their Medicare part. So that's why you do a lot of things through Social Security. On the right side, that is CMS, Centers of Medicare and Medicaid Services. They manage the program. Social Security manages enrolling you. This is your Medicare card. When you are getting ready for Medicare, either when you're turning 65 or when you delay it and you get it, this is the card. It has 11-digit number. It has start dates, A and B. We'll talk about that. On the back of the card, I don't have a picture, but anyway, that's the card you get. You don't have to take Medicare. In the back of that card, there's a little box that says, I choose not to take Medicare Part B. You can say no, so you don't have to take Medicare. Now, getting your Medicare card, if you're turning 65, and you're going to be drawing Social Security will automatically enroll you in Medicare Part A, automatically. Because they're assuming if you're drawing Social Security, you're going to want Medicare, so they're going to enroll you in Medicare. And Medicare coverage always begins the first of the month. It used to be, I could say you would get your Medicare card 2 or 3 months prior, but Social Security is a little understaffed now and things are taking a little longer. Now, in the older days, most people did this, but a lot of people now are delaying their Medicare because they're still working. And so we'll talk about you. So if you're not getting Medicare at 65, and you can, to clarify a little bit, what some people do is they get Part A at 65 and then they delay the Part B. Since Part B is free, you pay for Part A by your taxes for, if you worked for 10 years or you're married to a spouse that worked 10 years, your taxes paid for Part A. So Medicare will put you in Part A, but they won't put you in Part B unless you kind of agree or you start taking Social Security. So because of that, you can delay Medicare. You can delay Medicare as long as you want, as long as you have what Medicare calls credible coverage. So if you're working for a company that has more than 20 employees, Medicare considers that company coverage credible coverage. So as long as you have that coverage, you don't need Part B. And you can stay on that company coverage as long as they allow you to. But whenever you get ready to leave company coverage, then you have to get your Part B in place. And you do that by going online to Social Security, going to the local office, which could be a field trip or could be fun, or calling them up, okay? Now, Medicare will not contact you if you forget to enroll in Medicare. Medicare is not your mother, and it's not your priest. They just don't treat you like family members, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so we're going to talk about the parts of Medicare. The first part of Medicare is A, and I believe the gentleman, you signed up for A. Now, this is Medicare costs for 2025, okay? So Part A covers hospital, hospice care. Just think of Part A as facilities. So if you just had original Medicare and had Part A, again, if you worked for 10 years, you don't pay for Part A, that's what your taxes paid for, okay? But if you go to the hospital and you just have Medicare, and we're not talking about an Advantage or a supplement, when you're admitted to the hospital, Medicare is going to charge you $1,676 when you're admitted to the hospital. They call that a benefit period, but it really is a deductible. And so that is good for 60 days. In other words, if you go to the hospital and come out and go back in 3 weeks, you don't pay that $1,676. But what do you think happens if you go back on the 65th day?
On the 61st day.
You pay $1,676 again. And so people get a little bit concerned about that, thinking that that could add up. But that is the cost for 2025. And when you're in the hospital, after 60 days, Medicare is going to charge you $419 per day. And if you're there, unfortunately, after 90 days, they're going to charge you $838 per day. And with Medicare, there's no max out-of-pocket limit. Medicare doesn't stop charging you. This is wide open. There's no, Medicare doesn't have a stop point, like some insurances have stop points. Medicare doesn't have. The nice thing about Medicare is there's no limit to what they'll pay to cover you. The challenging thing about Medicare, there's no limit to what you could pay out of pocket. So this is Part A, okay? Now Part B, this is the medical side of Medicare. These are the doctors, inpatient, outpatient. This is surgery. These are blood works. This is what those of you who are working, you're getting this now from your insurance company, your health plan with your company. This is Part B. Part B has a monthly premium. For 2025, it's $185 a month. You always pay for Part B unless you're on Medicaid or you're getting state aid. So sometimes people say, oh, I joined an Advantage plan, it was $0 monthly premium. Why am I paying $185? You're paying for the Part B premium. If you have a supplement, you pay for that, okay? So you always pay for that premium. That premium goes up every year. 2 years ago, it went down, and I think the government said, oh, I think we made a mistake, and they made it go back up again. And if you're drawing Social Security, they take that out of your check. If you're not drawing Social Security because you're delaying Social Security, they'll bill you quarterly for that $185. Okay, the deductible for Medicare for the year is $257. Now, those of you on company coverage, tell me if your deductible is under $300. Anybody have an idea what your deductible is?
Mine includes my company pays for it.
Oh, wow, you're at a good company.
Mine used to.
Okay, anybody else? Okay. She kind of messed me up there a little bit because I was hoping somebody would say, mine's 2,000, mine's 5,000, mine's 7,000. But anyway, that's great. But this is the deductible for Medicare. And then the 20%, Medicare only covers 80% of their approved expenses. That's all they ever cover. You're always responsible for 20%, always. Now, we're just talking about having just original Medicare. We'll review that later. So because of that, and then of course, Medicare has no out-of-pocket limit. So people feel that 20% could put me at risk. If I see my primary doctor, it's okay. But if I have a $50,000 surgery, I have to pay 20%. If I have a $500,000 surgery, if I break my leg and go to the emergency room and it's 10 grand, I have to pay 20%. So that concerns people that they could have some financial challenges. So that is what we call original Medicare. We're going to come back to that. So this is, so this is A and B. A is the hospital and B. Now you're thinking to yourself, why would the government do that? It's like we didn't learn our ABCs, so they figure, let's go back to the basics. So then they have Advantage plans, which are Part C. You've heard of Advantage plans. They're flooding your phone. They're filling up your mailbox. Advantage plans are called Part C. What happens with the Advantage plans, and we'll pick this up later, when you join an Advantage plan, you actually leave Medicare. You're turning over the management of your health care to the Advantage plan. Now they manage it, whatever company that is. You know, the particular carrier, they're now managing your health care. So they call that Part C. With the Advantage plan, you have everything that Medicare gives you in A and B. So you still have all of the Medicare benefits, but now it's being managed by a private health insurance company. That's the Advantage plans, and we'll pick that up. And then this is the biggest puzzle in Medicare, is the drug coverage. If anybody knows anything about Medicare's drug coverage, it is a little bit challenging. It's not like your company coverage where you have drug coverage and you go to the pharmacy and you have a $5, $10 copay and you're done. Not with Medicare. Medicare has tiers where they put drugs on a tier. They have 5 tiers. The lower the tier, the lower the cost of the drug. Okay? But every company is not the same on their drugs. Some company may have a drug on tier 1. The same drug will be on a different tier. Drug companies don't cover every drug. So by law, they have to cover 2 drugs in every category, but they don't cover every drug. And so with the drug plan, it's a little different. You've heard of the donut hole and all that stuff. The hole is gone. The hole is gone. We don't have the donut hole anymore. What we have here, this is for 2025. The deductible for a drug plan is $590. What that means is that's the most a drug company can charge. Now, they don't have to charge you $590. You know, some companies choose to charge you less, or maybe for generic drugs, they don't charge you the deductible, but they can't charge you more than $590. Okay, so then after you pay that, you go into the coverage stage. What happens there is you, the carrier, the manufacturer, and the government share the cost of your drugs. Typically, in Medicare, you're only paying 25% of the cost of your drugs. Okay? And so when that cost reaches $2,000, that's your cost out of pocket, what you paid out of pocket, including what the company paid, the carrier paid, and the discounts. When it reaches $2,000 out of pocket, and it's a covered drug in their formulary, you don't have any more costs, and you're covered for the rest of the year at no cost to you. Now, this is new. This is new for this year. So anytime something is new, there's a lot of learning. And so everybody is experiencing this new for the first time. So this is capping. Those of you that have generics, this is not a big deal, but many people have brand drugs that cost a few $100s a month. So this is good news for them. This is the most that you would ever pay. The nice thing about this too If you say to me, well, Tom, you know, I have a very expensive drug, and the first time I go to the pharmacist, it's a few $100s. They actually have a payment plan now where you can spread it out over 12 months. You still have to pay, but you don't pay as much. It's kind of like a layaway, and they spread it out so you don't have to pay the pharmacist. You do it through the carrier. That's Part D. Okay, these are the supplement plans. So we have A, hospital, B is the medical, C is the Advantage plan, D is the drug plan. Now we're into the Medicare supplement world. Now in the East Coast, they call this Medigap, right? If you look at the material on the table there with the supplement brochure, it'll say Medigap supplement. It's a little confusing because people use the word supplement also if they get like an Advantage plan. Say, I want something to supplement my Medicare, but I'm talking here about Medicare supplement, okay? So these are Medicare supplement plans. These are all standardized. What that means is if you get one of these plans, and the two most popular, I have them in yellow, are G and N. They're all standardized. Every company's Plan G is the same. It's the same coverage. It's the same cost and everything other than the premium. They never change. A Plan G will never change. Unlike the Advantage plans, which change every year, and the drug plans, these are standard. The only difference is the premium and the company that you have. And we'll go over these a little bit later. Because most people, when they come to these kinds of seminars, they're usually thinking, what do I do if I'm still working? And then once I go on Medicare, what do I do? Do I do the Advantage or do the supplement or something else? Is that pretty accurate? Or, okay, so let's go here. You have this on the handout that Chris provided for you. This is just an easy way to look at your options. So just to review, if you look at the left side, there's Original Medicare, there's A and B, and Original Medicare is what you get from the government, okay? So there's A and B. Remember, A is the hospital, and that's no cost to you if you've worked 10 years. B is the medical piece, which has a monthly premium and a deductible. And there's the Medicare card. So if you want that, you can just do that. That's one option. Now, it doesn't have a drug plan, so you'd want to add a drug plan to Original Medicare, okay? So some people do that, particularly around here in the suburbs. People aren't very comfortable with that because remember the 20%? You still have to cover that 20%. So they pick up a supplement or an Advantage plan. So you see there in the red, option one is to get a supplement, which is offered by private companies, and then to add a drug plan. Supplements do not have any extras. They don't have dental. They don't have drugs. So you need to pick up a drug plan. You say to me, why should I pick up a drug plan? I'm healthy, I don't have drugs, if I don't take medications. If you keep having birthdays, you will eventually end up with a prescription if you're somewhat normal. And what happens is if you don't get a drug plan, the government's not going to force you to get a drug plan, but they have a nice way of encouraging you to enroll in one. They're going to penalize you. For every month that you could have had a drug plan that you didn't, they will penalize you, and that is a permanent penalty for as long as you have a drug plan. So typically, just keep that in mind. People say, if I'm healthy, then I say, then just get a cheap drug plan. There's actually drug plans under $10 just to avoid the penalty. Because if you ever go to a doctor and he goes, uh-oh, and then you have to have expensive drug and now you don't have a drug plan, and then you're going to be in trouble.
If you choose something the first year and then next year, are you penalized for not taking something that you could have taken your first year? Not the drug plan, not Part D, but like, let's just say you go with the lesser one, and then by next year, maybe you need a different one.
Okay.
So there's like no penalty for going into a better plan, right?
No. Now, you're not from Schaumburg, right?
No.
So I allowed you to have a question before the end of the time, because we're treating you like our guest. No, that's okay, that's okay. But we'll save questions to the end.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I'm just glad that you're not from Schaumburg, so I could use that as the. See, the Schaumburg people, they all pay attention. We're not going to ask questions to the end. That's all right, not a big deal. But yes, you can change. Okay, so that's the supplement world. And then in the blue is the Advantage. That's the Part C. Remember, Part C includes everything you get with A and B. Typically, most Advantage plans give you the drug are embedded in that, so you save on that cost. And then the attraction of the Advantage plans, which is what is filling your mailbox and your phone calls and everything else, is all the extras, the dental, the vision, the hearing, and the fitness, and all those other things. So in some ways, Medicare is really easy, right? You get original Medicare, you either stay with that, you get a supplement, you get an Advantage. So why are you all so confused? Because there's too many choices. There's too many variables. Okay, so that's, any questions? I mean, I could do that because I'm up here, right? Okay, any questions on that? Okay, so let's go here. This is a chart that compares the difference between a Medicare Advantage and a Medicare Supplement, all right? So, starting on the left, with a Medicare Supplement plan, you can see any doctor, any facility, anywhere in the United States that accepts Medicare. Okay, anywhere. 97% of all doctors take Medicare. So no matter where you go, if you move, if you have a supplement, if they take Medicare, by law, they have to take your supplement. It's against the law not to take a supplement. So with a supplement, as long as they take Medicare, which is 97, 98%, they will take your supplement. The Advantage plan, however, works with a network, and you may have to, depending on the network, if it's an HMO or PPO, you'll be restricted to networks. So that's a big difference. Second difference is with the supplement, you don't need a referral. You know, if you have a supplement and you want to see a specialist, you don't need to ask your primary doctor's permission. I mean, sometimes the supplement might ask for a pre-authorization if they're doing $1 million surgery, but for most referrals, with the supplement, you don't need a referral. With the Advantage plan, depending on the carrier, you may need a referral. You may have to stay in their network. And then that's kind of repetitive there. With the supplement, there is no network restrictions. With the Advantage plan, are tied to where you live. So if you live in Schaumburg in Cook County, and you decide you want to get an Advantage plan, that Advantage plan has to be a plan that encompasses a service area, which is Cook County. Okay? Enrolling is a little different with the supplements. We'll pick that up a little bit later. You get one opportunity when you first turn 65 and you have Part B in place. You get a window, we'll see this later, where you can get a supplement from any company, regardless, they don't do any underwriting, they accept all pre-existing conditions. Okay, so we'll pick that up. That's a one-time window with enrolling. Now, the Advantage plans are a little different. They have specific times of the year when you can enroll. Typically, you can enroll in the Advantage plan when you first turn 65, if you take Medicare A and B, or if you have company coverage and you leave company coverage and you get Part B, then you can get an Advantage plan. But Advantage plans have limited times when you can change them. You know, the big annual enrollment is a one-time deal, and there's a few other opportunities. If you move out of state, you get what they call a special election to get an Advantage plan, so they're more restrictive. The costs with the supplements in this area, for a female non-smoker going into a supplement, she's looking at probably $150 to $180 a month to start. The supplements this year have gone up double digits. I mean, double. They've gone up quite a bit. They're still a good value, but they've gone up. If you know anybody that has the supplements and they got a letter about a price increase, inflation has caught up to Medicare, and so the costs are up. And then the other problem is, this year, Medicare's first Medicare people that started in 1945 are turning 80 this year. So now all those people are in the pocket, and all those people are causing claims, and so price goes up. All right. With the Advantage plan, the attraction of the Advantage plans is many of them are 0 monthly premium, but they're not free, okay? The premium is 0, but the Advantage plans are not free. They have cost and co-pays along with them. And then with the drug coverage, with the supplement, you need to pick that up. And with the Advantage plan, it's embedded in the plan. Okay, so let's go back here, because this usually sparks. So these plans are quite different, and they function different. People often ask me, well, they don't like one, they don't like another. Everybody's different, every plan is different. It's like, it's like a car and a truck. If you go to Milwaukee in a Cadillac or a Ford truck, you're still gonna get there. One's a truck, one's a car. And so the Advantage plans and supplements, they function differently, they work differently. You have to decide as an individual, which plan fits me better based on my needs, my health, my budget, and my risk personality. Those are all factors that you have to think about. It's helpful to talk to your friends, and they'll tell you which is the best plan, but that's the best plan for them. Like if I were to ask you, what's the best car? Someone would say, oh, the best car is the Lamborghini. What does it cost? $225,000. Then why don't you buy it? I can't afford it. Then it's not the best car for you. What's the best car for you? Oh, that would be the Toyota RAV4. That's the best car. So it's nice to talk to your friends, but most of your friends don't sell insurance, don't understand it. They just know this is the best one for me. But your friends, unless we're in Star Trek, don't have the same DNA that you have, don't have the same personality, don't have the same budget. Everybody's different. They tell us that nationally, out of the 67 million people on Medicare in the United States, about 54% right now are enrolled in Advantage plans. About 35% are enrolled in Medicare Supplements, and the rest of the people are on Medicaid or just original Medicare. In this area, we have more people on supplements than Advantage plans because the suburbs tend to be a little bit more affluent where they can afford the supplement plans. Okay? You're all so quiet. Okay, so I'm going to break Chris's thing, and I'm going to take questions now because you have questions, and by the time we get to the...
Repeat them.
I'm sorry?
Just repeat them so that Zoom people can hear you.
Repeat the questions?
Yes.
No, Zoom. So up until this point, any clarifying questions, any comments, anything you need to know that maybe I wasn't clear? You can ask a question now. It's okay. It's open. But going back to the drug plans do change every year, and you don't get penalized when you change the drug plan. You only get penalized when you go 63 consecutive days. Now, don't ask me why it's 63 days. The government, 63 consecutive days when you could have had a drug plan, but you didn't get one. So every month you delayed that, you get penalized. You also get penalized if you don't get Part B when you could have got it. There's actually 3 penalties. Okay, any other questions on original Medicare or this, Advantage and Supplement? Yes, ma'am.
The supplemental plans, aren't there certain companies that offer a plus plan or premium plan that would include dental?
Some of them do that, yes. Some of them have discounts. They're not dental insurance, and some of them add a little extras, but it's very few. But some of them do. Some particular carriers do have little extras that they throw in to encourage you to join. Okay, any other questions on A or B? Okay, based on what you heard, I'm curious, if you were to join a plan right now, how many of you would take the supplement? Oh, look at that, see? How many would you take the Advantage plan? Oh boy, they didn't. How many of you aren't sure what you would do? See, the prospect height ladies here are not sure. You're not sure? Okay, well, that's why we're here. That's why we're here. Okay, so, yes.
The permanent penalty that you say, is it significant or is it just?
No, it's government is so much fun. It's 1% of the national drug premium average for each month that you could have had it that you didn't have it. So basically, it's 1%, and the national drug plan average right now is $36.78. So if you times 1% times 36.78, it's like 36 cents. So the penalty is basically like $4 a year. Okay, so
You can't ever get rid of it.
it's permanent. As long as you have a drug plan, the only way you get rid of a drug plan is you don't sign up for one. So if some people miss it like a year, it's $4. But remember, as that national drug average goes up, the penalty goes up. I discover people who go without drug plans for 10, 12, 15, 20 years because nobody ever told them, and they're healthy, and then they decide to get a drug plan. So I'm not going to do the calculations, but you go 10 years, we're talking $40, and that's a permanent penalty. You go 15, 20 years, you're now talking $80, and that's in addition to your premium. So with that in mind, I encourage people, even if you don't take any drugs, if you're not going to take an Advantage plan, which has the drug plan, just pick up a cheap plan just to cover yourself. Because basically, it's like how our government works. They need your money in the pot to pay for people buying all the expensive drugs. And then when you get to be that point, you need people to be putting money in to pay for your drugs. But it is permanent unless you, there are exceptions. If you're a veteran and you have drug coverage, then you don't need to get a plan. If you have dry care, you don't need to get a plan. But there is a permanent penalty on that. Yes, ma'am.
Question about which plan. I don't know if this is true, but I heard that the Medicare Advantage is more likely to be denied coverage, or you might be thrown out of the rehab center because they're a lot more particular and maybe cost conscious than some.
Did you hear that through the grapevine?
I have experience with family.
Well, to be fair, the Medicare Advantage plans, remember, when you get an Advantage plan, they're managing your care. That means coordinating your care. That means they can make coverage decisions, unlike the supplement, where you have a supplement, there's no, so Medicare Advantage plans may do prior authorizations, where they'll say, you go to the doctor, he says, what have you been doing? Your knees are shot, you need knee surgery. If you have a supplement plan, you go find a referral, you find a knee surgeon, you take Medicare, yes, boom, you're done. If you have an Advantage plan, the Advantage company might say, I'm sorry, what is your name? Kathleen? They say, Kathleen, why don't you try therapy first? You go, well, I don't want to. Well, we want you to. And so they might ask you, it is a little bit more. They can do that, and it's called prior authorization. They have to provide you what you need, but they could make you wait or maybe do something. Now, in terms of the nursing home, the way Medicare Advantage works a little bit differently. In the nursing home, the first 20 days, there's no cost, but after 20 days with an Advantage plan, you start paying like $200 a day. With a supplement, you don't pay that. And so when people say the Advantage plan is kicking me out, it's because typically it's not the Advantage plan, it's the hospital, because the hospital's gets paid more with Medicare and the supplement. So there are some areas where the Advantage plan, they still have to provide you coverage, but sometimes there is prior authorization, and you could have to wait. And there's a few things where the Advantage plan is like original Medicare. The two big areas, you mentioned one. Another area is durable medical equipment. With an Advantage plan, you pay 20% just like original Medicare. With the supplement, once you pay your deductible, it's all covered. And another big area with the Advantage plan, if you get chemo and need chemo treatment, the Advantage plan is going to charge you 20% for your chemo treatment. That will be expensive, right? That will be expensive. So Does that answer your question? See how I tell you the truth, you see? Can you handle the truth? I like to tell people the truth because if they work for me as an agent, I don't want them to call me up and say, you never told me that I might need prior authorization. You never told me that I have to pay 20% because of these chemo. You never told me. So I want to make sure that when people make a decision, they understand that. Now, the thing that the Advantage plan balances out, they do have a max out of pocket. You know, so if they have like a $3,500 max out of pocket, if you ever reach that cost in the course of a year, the plan continues to cover you and you have no more costs. So if you get chemo treatment on an Advantage plan, you will reach your max out of pocket. You will. It's inevitable. But then you'll still have coverage and you won't owe you won't have any more costs other than, you know, up to that. And with the Advantage plans, the max out of pocket is all different. You know, unlike the supplements, the Advantage plans are generally the same, but all their costs and coverages are different. They all have different max out of pockets and so forth. Okay, any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
2026, I sign up for the Advantage plan. Open enrollment for 2027, can you move to the supplement plan? Can you move back and forth between the plans?
Well, that's
without penalty?
without penalty. Okay, like from Advantage to a supplement,
Yes.
or either way.
Yes. Can you do that?
Yes, but you have to do it correctly. The first time, is that a song? The first time ever I saw your face. No, we're not there, Tom. We're at Medicare now. See, they should have songs for Medicare, right? Instead of having boring commercials. You know, you should turn to Medicare, Medicare, it's time for me, Medicare, Medicare, somebody set me free. Okay, this is the Medicare Bible. You know, when you turn 65, you'll get this, and there's a lot of really good information in here. So, your question here. So you want to know if you can switch back and forth. With the Advantage plans, you can change them every fall. You can change your Advantage plans, you can drop it, you can pick up another Advantage plan, or you can go back to original Medicare. Every fall, you can change your Advantage plan, okay? So, if you joined a Medicare Advantage plan when you were first eligible for Medicare, you can choose any Medigap policy that's sold by an insurance company. Let me back here. Okay, so basically what it says here, if you join a Medicare when you're first eligible, and then basically what they say is the first year you can drop it, you get a trial right the first time you're in an Advantage plan. Whether you started with one or whether you had a supplement, you left the supplement and you joined. A lot of people start with the supplements for 2 or 3 years. They're paying $150, $200. They say, you know, I'm healthy. Maybe I'll try the Advantage plan. Or people start with the Advantage plan, like in your case, and then they say, you know, I think I want the supplement. So the first time you're in an Advantage plan, you have a 12-month trial right. Okay? So if you started with the Advantage plan the first time and you don't like it in those 12 months, you can get out of it and you can get any supplement from any company that's offered in your area. At any point in that 12-month period. If you started with the Advantage plan. If you dropped a supplement plan, you had a supplement, you got out of it, you tried the Advantage because you listened to me and you said, you know, that guy knows what he's talking about. I think I'm going to do the Advantage. Or you listened to Joe Namath or somebody and you tried the Advantage plan and you didn't like it. Again, within those first 12 months, you can get out of the Advantage plan and go back to your supplement if it's still offered. If it's still in business and is offering that plan, you can go back. That's a trial. But after that trial, you can't do that twice. So after that's over, it's a little trickier with the supplement. Because what happens with the supplement is, well, we'll see this later. I'll wait till we get to the enrollment periods. So you can change, but you need to know what you're doing so you don't get yourself in trouble. Because it's not easy with the supplements. Basically with the supplements, the first time you're over 65 or have Part B, they give you 6 months to get any supplement from any company. They accept all pre-existing conditions. After that 6 months, they can do underwriting, which means that if you had any kind of cancer, diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, COPD, main surgeries, they could either say, we're not going to take you, or we're going to charge you more. There's one carrier, if you've been in the hospital in the last 90 days, they will not take you. They won't take you on their supplement after that 6 month. So when you make your choices, you have to you have to kind of understand how that works. Does that answer your question a little bit?
So what you're saying is take advantage or supplement and stay with it.
Well, but you can switch, but you just have to kind of know. I mean, if you're healthy, you can switch easily, you know, because they're looking at major chronic conditions like heart, diabetes, cancer, knee replacement. They're looking at big stuff. There's certain things. Because what happens with people is they start out, you know, Medicare at 65, they're healthy, generally, but then as they have those birthdays, things begin to, because I have a lot of clients who will start both ways. They'll start on the Advantage plan, 5-10 years later, they say, you know, everything's kind of going south now, I want to get into a supplement, so we have to figure out if we can do that. Or people start with the supplement, they say, no, I've had this for 5 years, I pay $150 a month, I see the doctor twice. So I want to go try the Advantage plan because I'm going to save money-wise, assuming I stay healthy, I'm going to save thousands of dollars a year. Okay, good question. Any other questions up to now? Okay, so Advantage plans, just to summarize, these plans pay instead of Medicare. They give you your A and B benefits. With the Advantage plan, you don't use your Medicare care. Everything goes through the supplement. These plans all have 1-year contracts, which means every year they change, and they do change, and they actually can drop plans. They can actually stop offering a plan in the middle of the year. I mean, this past year, several companies got rid of plans. They just stopped offering them. It's only a 1-year contract with the Advantage, whereas with the supplement, it's not a contract. It's as long as you pay the premium in the supplement, it just keeps going. With the supplement, there's no medical underwriting. If you enroll the first time you're open enrollment, it's all over the country. It's guaranteed renewable. The premiums vary, and you can change your supplement at any time. You don't need an enrollment period. Okay, let me go here. There's the trial, right? I should have just went to my notes, huh? If you join a Medicare Advantage plan for the first time, you aren't happy with it, you have a special right to buy a Medigap and drug plan if you return within 12 months. You can choose any policy. If you had the Medigap plan before you joined, you can get the same policy if it still offers it. And that's from the Medicare book that I showed you. Here's some questions. This is what I find. People that are attracted to the supplements, I find this is what they like. They like the predictable costs. They know that once I pay my premium after my deductible, I'm done. They like that. They like the freedom and the flexibility that they can see any doctor anywhere in the country, and they don't have to deal with a network or referrals. And they like it that, you know, the supplement's going to cover after deductible all of their out-of-pocket costs. The challenging part about the supplement is the cost keeps going up. I was talking to a client today, he's not that old, in the mid-70s, and both he and his wife are pushing over $300 a month on their supplement. And their increase that they just got this year, I think he said was $45 a month. So ouchie. Well, they're after that 10-year period, you know, and it starts going up. That's the challenge with the supplements. but they work great. They cover everything. They give you, a lot of flexibility, and people like the predictable costs. They don't want to deal with the network. The Advantage plan, those people like the 0 monthly premium. 72% of everybody on Advantage plans takes the 0. That's an attraction. Hopefully, people on the Advantage, they like the extras, the dental, the vision, and the hearing. They like the extras. They understand that there are costs. With the Advantage plan, it's pay as you go. Each time you use the plan, there's a copay or a co-insurance. Remember I said it's not free. So if you go see your primary doctor, typically it's 0. If you go to a specialist, it's $25 to $50. If you have outpatient, it's $200 to $400. That's a copay. It's a co-insurance. So with the Advantage plan, you don't know what you're going to spend in the course of a year, right? If you just go to the doctor once or twice and never have surgery, never go to the hospital, you're lucky if you spend $200, $300 in a year. But you can, if you end up going to the hospital multiple times or get a chronic health condition, you will spend some money. They tell us that nationally, less than 4% of people on Medicare ever reach the max out of pocket. I mean, because you'd have to be in the hospital multiple times. With an Advantage plan, when you go to the hospital, there's a flat copay. It's like $250 to $400 per day. But that covers everything that happens that day. That's it. If you have a surgery, you just pay a flat copay. And then after a certain number of days in a hospital, your cost will go to 0 with the Advantage plan. So if you go to the hospital 2 or 3 times in a year for 5 days, you're going to spend thousands of dollars. Okay, and you will reach the max out of pocket. And if you end up with a chronic, like with chemo, you will reach the max out of pocket. But again, the people that are attracted to the Advantage plans, they're a little riskier, right? Because they don't know what's going to happen. And they have the money for the co-pays and the co-insurances. If I were to talk to you and you want an Advantage plan, and I said to you, if you go to the hospital for 3 days, you have $900. And you say, no. I said, well, then why are you taking the Advantage plan? Because it's 0. I said, that's the premium, but if you go to the hospital, it's $900 for 3 days. Do you have $900? And maybe you should get a supplement, because you wouldn't pay, once you pay your $257 and your premium, you won't owe anything with a supplement at a hospital. So does that make sense? So they're really different, and everybody's different. If you go to sleep at night and all you think about is your health and your doctor visits and this, you probably need a supplement because you're worrying a lot, right? Because that's all you're thinking about is your health. But everybody's different. Any questions on that?
You showed travel plans.
Travel.
That goes with which plan?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, the supplements travel better. Anywhere in the country, you go to Florida, you go to Arizona, they take the supplements. You move to Florida, Arizona, you don't have to cancel your supplement. It's just like your car insurance. You keep paying it.
How about international, going to Europe for 2 weeks?
Medicare doesn't work anywhere for 2 weeks. Medicare does not work outside the country. Medicare supplements will cover emergency services up to $50,000 with a $250 deductible. And Medicare Advantage plans will cover emergency service only, not regular care. The only time you might get regular care with Medicare is if you're like in Canada, like a border where we're like across the street and so forth. But Medicare does not. If you go to a foreign country, I always tell people, get additional insurance health coverage. You're in Italy, you're squashing grapes, you fall down and break your ankle. You go to the hospital, and what's the matter with you? What do you do? It's the vino. And they fix your foot, and then you take out your Medicare card. They go, no, Visa. They don't, nobody outside the United States cares about Medicare. So I tell people, if you travel honestly, you pay the bill, and then when you come home, you get a receipt and you send it to your supplement company or your Advantage company. Does that make sense? I had a client once who went to Mexico to get surgeries because it was cheaper, and she says, Medicare didn't cover it. I said, remember I told you that? She thought she was going to get reimbursed. I said, it wasn't an emergency. So yes. Now, some of the Advantage plans do travel better than others. I would say historically, when the Advantage plans first came out, most of them were HMOs. And if you went anywhere outside your plan area, other than emergency or urgent care, it did not work. It was not good. So like if you were in Florida, now you're not in Italy, you're in Florida, and you walk on the beach and you stub your toe and you need a stitch, or you break your foot, some of the Advantage plans would say, well, you got to go home to Illinois because we don't cover you here. But that's not true anymore. They cover urgent care and emergency care, hospital care, anywhere in the country with an Advantage. And some Advantage, a lot of the larger Advantage companies have national travel. If the carrier has a doctor in that state that will take the plan, they will take you even on an Advantage plan. Okay, so that's a good question, because if you travel a lot, you want to make sure whatever insurance you have is going to work, whether you're in Schaumburg or Prospect Heights or in Naples or in Scottsdale. You don't want to find out like, we don't take that plan here. Okay, any other questions? Look at it, just so dutiful here. So we have like 5 minutes and I got to rock and roll. Okay, Medicare loves enrollment periods. Anytime you do anything with Medicare, you have to have an eligible election period or an enrollment period. So this is the initial enrollment period. When you first turn 65, the government gives you 7 months to enroll in an Advantage or a drug plan if you choose to go on full Medicare. Remember, if you don't take Part B, then this doesn't really apply to you, okay? But this is people that are going to get both A and B. And so your birthday is May. You have 3 months before your birthday month and 3 months after, where you can get any Advantage plan, any drug plan, and everything with Medicare starts the first of the month, okay? All right, so this is your initial enrollment period, and you understand this only happens once. You only turn 65 once, right? You all get that? Will you still love me? Will you still need me when I'm 64, like Paul said? You only turn 65 once. So this is the general enrollment period. This enrollment period is for those of you that didn't listen to me over here. So what happens in here, you didn't enroll when you first could have, right? You missed your 7-month window and now you're out. So the government says, okay, you missed your 7-month window. So now January, February, March, you can enroll in Part A and B, but you're going to have to wait to April, May, and June to get Advantage or a drug plan. So just to say, this is for people that missed their first time. You know, remember, they're getting both A and B, not just A like the general. They're getting most A and B. You know, their birthday was, say, February, and so they didn't do here February, March, April, May. It's June, and they say, oh, I forgot. Now they have to wait how long? June, July, August, September, October, November, January. They have to wait several months. To get A and B, if they want Part D, they have to wait till April. June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, 10 months. So they're going to be without, so in other words, you don't want to mess up here. You want to make sure you understand your enrollment period. Now, this is a special enrollment period. This is for those of you, particularly who are still working and you delay taking Medicare because you have really good company coverage, okay? So when you're working past 65, whenever you decide to retire or leave the company coverage, they say to you, you have 8 months to get enrolled in Parts A and B, so there's no penalty, but they only give you 2 months to get C, which is the Advantage or the drug plan. I always tell people, if you come to me and you say, Tom, I'm retiring in December, I always say, okay, we back it up 2-3 months this way, and we get everything done on this side. We're not going to wait 8 months to get A and B. I mean, that's just silly. But it's there, and so as long as you work for a company or you're married to someone who works for a company and they have 20 or more employees, That's Medicare's magic number. You can stay on that company coverage as long as you want until the company says, you know, you got to go, you're costing us too much money, or you retire. You know, if you're married and you retire and you're going to leave company coverage, but you have a spouse that's under 65, especially if she's a female and you retire, she doesn't have insurance. Now you're going to need marriage counseling because you just messed her up because she had really good insurance. You don't want to be doing that. Okay. So this is a special enrollment periods. There's other special enrollment periods here. So when you work with a company, you're not going to get penalized. As long as the company has 20 more employees, you're fine. Now this is the supplement. Open enrollment when you're over 65 and you have Part B. Now that could be when you're first 65, or that could be when you're 70. Like the gentleman, you got Part A when you turned 65, correct? Right? And then you probably won't get Part B until somewhere after you're 65. So whenever you're over 65 and Part B in place, that triggers the supplement open enrollment period, which is 6 months. So let's just say you decide I'm going to get Part B in December. So now you have December, January, February, March, April, May. You have 6 months to get any supplement from any company, no underwriting, takes all pre-existing conditions. They can't deny you or charge you more because of health. That's a one-time deal. That's over in 6 months. Okay, so that's over in 6 months. And that's with, and going back to your question about changing the supplements, after this is over and you change supplements, now you have to go through medical underwriting. So a lot of people that want the supplements, they pay attention to this, okay? When can I make changes? The annual enrollment period, which just is in the fall, this is not for supplements. A lot of people get this confused. They think this is when they change their supplements. This is only for Advantage plans and drug plans. You can change your supplement anytime during the year. But the Advantage plan and drug plans, you can only add them, drop them, switch them during this time, okay? This is only for the Advantage plans and the drug plans. Advantage plans change every year, as do drug plans. So many people who have supplements, they forget about this, because what Medicare does by law is Advantage plans and drug plans are regulated by the government. The government does not regulate the supplements. That's regulated by the state. So anytime you get regulated by the government, guess what happens? Yeah, there's lots of stuff. So the government regulates these two plans, and they change every year. And so what happens with people on the supplement who have a drug plan, they don't pay attention to this because they say, well, I'm not changing my supplement, but then their drug plan changes. This year, several drug companies, one went from $9 to $49, one went from $27 to $52, one went from $29 to $65, and one went up to $110. And what happens is those companies have to send you a letter in the fall, if you have an Advantage and a supplement, saying this is what you have with your drug plan or your Advantage plan, 2025, this is what it's going to be in 2026. If there's any changes, the premium's going to go from $10 to $50. Your drug cost is good, and they send you what they call the annual notice of change to let you know that your plan is changing. So those of you who have a supplement, a lot of times they don't pay attention to that, because I get calls in January. I didn't change my drug plan and I just found out that it went up $35. Can I change it? No, you missed it. So you have to pay attention to that. That's when you change the Advantage. And a lot of people get this confused. A lot of telemarketers call you up and they say, oh, it's open enrollment. And they're using that to get you to change supplements. Supplements don't have an annual enrollment. They have a one-time that's 6 months, and then you can change it at any time. This is an interesting one. This, You're going to ask me, how many enrollment periods are there? There's enrollment periods if you move, if you get married, if you get divorced. If you get out of prison, you have an enrollment period. If you go into prison, you have an enrollment period. There's all sorts of enrollment periods. This is what they call the Advantage Open Enrollment, January to March of the year. This to me is buyer's remorse. This is for people who signed up for the Advantage plan. Remember back here? Okay, they signed up, and the plan started in January, but now their neighbor said, what plan did you get? Oh, did you get this plan? No, oh my gosh, and now they think they made the wrong decision. Or this is for people that switched their Advantage and didn't like the new one. Or this is for people that never got to it because they were too busy with Thanksgiving and Christmas and weddings and funerals. They never got to switching plans. So this is buyer's remorse, okay? Now, agents cannot tell you this. Why am I telling you this? Well, because we're doing a seminar, that's why. And what I mean, they can't tell you this. They can't go back here. They can't push this. This is for people who have to take the opportunity. Like if you were one of my clients, you would call me up and say, Tom, you know, I had that Advantage plan. I never switched it. I think I want to switch. Now they can switch. But it's only if you have an Advantage plan, not a supplement or a drug. If you have a drug plan and you missed the open enrollment, you can't join. This is only if you have an Advantage plan. You get another chance to switch. You see how the government's always giving you chances to get out of to switch, which I think is kind of nice. Okay, these are special enrollment periods that you get if you move out of the area, you lose employer coverage, you get certain events that happen. You know, like if you have an Advantage plan and you move to Wisconsin, your plan's not going to work there because it's an Advantage plan. So they're going to give you a special enrollment 2 months again to get another Advantage plan or to get a supplement. Okay, so these are just here's the penalties. Most people don't pay a penalty for Part A. That's pretty unusual. But Part B has a penalty. Part B, remembers that monthly premium? So it's 10% for each full 12-month period. So if you go without Part B for 8 months, you're not going to be penalized. 2, 3, 4, 11 months. But if you go 12 months, you're going to be penalized for 12 months. If you go 15 months, it's every 12 months. It's a 10% penalty on the current premium. So that adds up. The current premium is what, $185? So if you go 13 months without Part B, you could have had it, but you didn't sign up, you're going to pay another $18.50 in addition to the $185 permanently. And then if that $185 goes up to $200, your penalty goes up $20. As that premium goes up, your penalty, and it's permanent. You can never get rid of it. Okay? So you want to pay attention to Part B, getting back to yours about the drug plan, is a lot more pricey than getting penalized for drugs. It's 10% of the premium. That's a lot. But it's every 12 months. So if but you don't want to mess up because you can't get rid of the penalty. The only way you can get rid of the penalty is not take Part B. If you don't take Part B, then you have two choices. You live in a bubble, you never leave your house. You know, if you ever watch Seinfeld, you become a bubble person, you never leave your house, or you become a spiritual person and think you're going to stay healthy your whole life. Otherwise, you're kind of, all right. Then there's the drug penalty, it's 1% of the national average. All right, any questions on those? They're there, you just need to be aware of them and know how they function. And the government knows who you are, they have all your records. And when they give you the penalties, the carrier doesn't send you the letter, you get it from, you pay Social Security. And, remember, they have your check, so you have to pay them. Or they'll just take it out of your check if you're drawing Social Security. All right. Irma. Does anybody have a relative named Irma? Okay, Irma is income related to monthly adjustment amount. What Irma is, and it may not apply, for most people it doesn't apply. If you make more money the government is going to charge you more for your Part B and your Part D. Isn't that nice? So, and this changes every year. So I'm not going to spend time on this, but so like for instance, if you're in the top line, if you make under 212,000 as a couple, you pay the 185. But if you make 212 to 266, you pay 259. And that applies to both of you. So if you're married and only one person has that income, you both pay the extra. And what the government does is they look at your Social Security 2 years back. So for 2025, they're looking at your 2023 taxes. Okay? And then every year they adjust that. And if you go over that limit, you pay, you can see there's a tier. It maxes out at, if you make over $750,000, and that's added to your Part B premium for 2 years. So just be aware of that. You know, some of you may be in that category, and there are exceptions where you can get around this, but they're very few. It's like typically if you have like your company gave you a severance pay, it's a one-time deal that pushed you over the limit. But just be aware of this. You know, if you go sell your house in Prospect Heights and make $400,000, and now you move to Arizona, and then you do your taxes and you made $400,000, that's what's going to happen to your Part B, your modified adjusted gross income. Now you say to me, well, that's not fair. That's what it is. That's just the way it is, okay? So if you have an accountant and you go to your accountant, what about IRMA? And they have no idea what you're talking about, you need to get another accountant. Because they should know this for retiree people, because you want to plan. Now the good news is if you're making that kind of money, I mean, that's good news, but you're just going to pay more. And you're going to also pay more for your Part D. It's IRMA. You know, I have to make a song about IRMA. IRMA. So, and that goes up every year. Okay, so we're almost done. So the next steps is review your enrollment periods, research your options, ask questions, get answers, find help, enroll, and then review. There's your Medicare and You book. Everything is in there. So if you read this carefully, you'll learn a lot. If you don't read it and you miss something, the government will, again, remember, they're not your priest or your mother. They're going to say, did you read page 54 about that? COBRA is right there. Did you read that? No. It's like your taxes, right? You forget to file taxes. The government doesn't say, did you read that? No. Okay, well, I know it's confusing. So that's very helpful. Medicare.gov has a very good website. Once you're in Medicare, you can see all your claims. You can find your providers. You can look up drugs. You can find out how to do claims and appeals. You can also go to your SHIP program. I know Schaumburg has a SHIP. Those are state health insurance people that help you. You can talk to Social Security or to Medicare. Or you could talk to people like me. July 30th, 1965. How old were you in July 30th, 1965? 8. And you didn't pay it. Now look at that very carefully. Harry Truman was the first person signed up for Medicare. $3 will be deducted from your monthly Social Security benefits. $3. So Truman, Johnson finally did that. The reason he had Truman always wanted insurance. He never could get it. Kennedy couldn't get it, and then he got assassinated, so Johnson finally got it in place. So he signed up Harry and his wife as the first Medicare clients. Okay, I think I'm going to stop now. It's 8:15. I'm not going to go through this.
Tom, thank you so much.
So
if there's
here's
any
me.
questions
So
from
just,
our online audience, just
if
drop
you have
those in
specific
the
questions,
Q&A.
obviously I didn't go into specific carriers. That's not the purpose of being here. My contact information is there. You need to contact me. I'm not going to contact you. So I'm happy to help you figure out your situation and what works best for you. Okay, go. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. There's no questions from the online group. So are there any other questions from our in-person audience?
Yes.
How far in advance should we contact you before our 65th birthday?
I always tell people to think in 3-month increments. So if your birthday is like May, go back 3 months and start the process to get everything in place. If you're retiring, you want to go back 3 months. I mean, with some of the supplements, you can actually sign up 6 months before. The Advantage plans, if you try to sign up 6 months before, it'll just sit there. But what you don't want to do is you don't want to get down to the last month, because Social Security is understaffed right now and it's taking longer to get things done. And you have to realize they're being swamped by baby boomers. And all I can tell you about Social Security is it's the government and it's insurance. You need to give yourself margin, because sometimes things just get lost. So you always want to be thinking, okay, I'm going to retire here in December. Starting September, I better contact Tom, get my ducks in a line, sign up for A and B, figure out what I'm going. So whenever I retire or whenever my birthday month comes, everything segues together. And it's just, and I always tell people, if you're going to call Social Security, honestly, you better call them before 8, 9 o'clock, or you'll be on the phone all day. Everything you do with Medicare goes through Social Security, ends up at your local office. So if you sign up for Medicare online, that application is going to be sent to Bloomingdale. That's where it is. So then if you have problems with your application, I always tell people to go in and see them face to face and be aggressively agreeable and pleasantly persistent. And just because if you have a snafu, and that it happens, you signed up online. I had a couple that signed up online the same day, did the same thing, filled the application out, and then rather than upload it, they took it to the office, handed it to them, got a confirmation number. 3-4 weeks later, his Medicare is in place, hers is not. So he goes to the office and they say, we have no record of your application. He goes, I have a confirmation number. We still don't have it. They had no record of it. So I tell people, if you go there, you hand it to them, you say, would you please look this over, make sure, and they say, just leave it there. I would say, no, I got time. Could you just please look at it? It takes 5 minutes and send it in. So you have to be a little bit, you can't be passive, because this is your health insurance. And agreeably aggressive, pleasantly persistent. Be nice. Okay, any other questions for me? Final comments. My services to you are free. Agents are not allowed to charge you for their advice. So if they do, that's a no-no. But we do like to get paid. We get paid if you use an agent like me or any agent and assist you in enrolling in a plan. That's kind of how it works. It doesn't impact your costs don't go up or down whether you use an agent, whether you go online, or whether you do it yourself. People say, well, then why should I use an agent? Well, an agent is a real person, is live, is local. I live in Hoffman Estates. I'm on Medicare. If you enroll online, if you have a question, who are you going to call? You're going to call that number and you're going to say, oh, I talked to George. Okay, we'll know George is. Who's George? Who's George? Okay, any other questions for me? Tom's tips. Always happy to help. Let me know if you have questions. I am local. Not mentally local, but local. I'm still mental too, I guess. All right, we're going to have a quiz now. We have a few minutes for a quiz. Since they don't have questions, we're going to have a quiz. Yes. And Chris has the prizes. All right, here's the first question.
Yes.
Okay, whoops, go back. What part of Medicare provides hospital coverage, A, B, C, or D?
A.
See how smart they are? Which part of Medicare covers preventative screenings?
D.
Oh boy, show-offs. Okay. Come on. Which enrollment period surrounds your 65th birthday? Which one? Initial. How long is your Medigap supplement open enrollment? 6 months from Part B, 3 months before and after, 6 months from Part A.
6 months from Part B.
Which part?
6 months from Part B.
B. B is the key when you enroll in Medicare, because remember, B is the one you need to get a Medicare Advantage or a supplement. Okay? So that's important. Okay. What's our next one? Whoops, come on. Medicare Advantage is also known as Plan C or Part C. For calendar year 2025, out-of-pocket costs for covered meds on your plan's formulary is capped at $2,000. True or false? It's true. Yeah, this is for drugs, the drug plans. Drug plans have a cap. I'm gonna have to get better questions. This is too easy. Too easy. The annual election period when you can change either your Part D or Medicare Advantage occurs from October 1 to December 7th. Isn't that the best time of the year to have people make decisions on the insurance? You're doing Thanksgiving, you're doing back to school, you're doing Christmas, and nobody's busy, so let's just have them do their Medicare during the fall. Unbelievable. If you actively work for a company with 20 or more plus employees and are covered by company insurance, do you need to sign up for Medicare at 65? No. One clarification on the Part A. You mentioned you have Part A. If you work for a company and you have a savings account, you cannot have any parts of Medicare. Okay, some people don't know that. That's very important. That's very important. So if you have a health savings account, you cannot enroll, you can't have any parts of Medicare. So when you decide to go on Medicare, you have to pay attention when you have to stop contributing to your HSA.
So I have a question on that then.
And that's on page 20 in the book. No, yeah, basically, it depends. I mean, it explains it pretty clearly. If you sign up for Medicare during your initial enrollment period, then you stop contributing a month before you turn 65. But if you are on Medicare and you've delayed it 6 or more months, then you have to avoid the penalty. You have to stop contributing 6 months before you get Part B in place. So it's a little tricky, but you have to pay attention to that. Otherwise, they'll. Do you have this book? It's on page 20.
Okay.
And if you work for a larger company, they should know that. Because anytime you have any parts of Medicare, they're not going to allow you to get a health savings account because you're saving money tax-free. Now, you can still use your health savings account for all your medical expenses. It doesn't go away. You just can't have A and have an HSA at the same time. That should be a question that I put in here. Be tricky. If I have a HSA, can I have any parts of Medicare? Oh. Okay, last quiz questions. What are they? You can apply to change your Medicare supplement anytime during the year. I forgot to put the false in. All prescription medications are covered under Medicare Part D. Boy, these people are smart. Some medications are covered under Part B. Part D medications are what you get at a pharmacy. Part B medications are what you get at a doctor's office or an outpatient clinic, or you're going to get injectables or drips. So Part B is different. Yeah, so it's covered. If you've ever gone to your doctor sometimes, he's going to give you a flu shot. He'll say, well, go to the drugstore, it'll be cheaper there if they do it there than if I do it here, because if I do it here, it's Part B, I have to charge you. If you go to the drugstore, there's no charge. It's goofy. Okay, I think I'm done, Chris. Anything else? If you have questions, I'm happy to stay afterwards. Take anything you want on that table. I have business cards. If you want to fill out a form that allows me to contact you, otherwise, it's on you to contact me. I'm not going to
Wonderful, Tom. Thank you so much
Okay.
for being with us this evening. Thank you, everyone, for coming in person, and all of our online guests for staying.